Thanks, Jim. I now hand the floor to Mr. Agnew. Mr. Agnew.
Thank you very much. I would just like to reinforce what Jim Nicholson has said, particularly as you, sir, are from Poland, Minister of Agriculture there, and we really do want to see you get these birds out of the battery cages. You are probably the key man in this respect. I just want to talk about the distribution of direct payments across the European Union. Coming from the UK, the equalisation process, if it had happened, wouldn't really have affected us because we're somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. But I think if I was the Polish Minister for Agriculture, I would be bitterly disappointed in the last 6 months because you and the Baltic states and the eastern states were promised that these payments would equalise over time. There would be some sort of procedure for it. And as far as I can see, you've been left high and dry. And I just wondered, has this personally weakened your faith in the European Union? Thank you.
Yesterday, while we were inaugurating the Danish presidency and there was a small informal meeting, the representative of the US asked me about several issues related to CAP in Europe. He asked me, for example, how can such a big state as the EU, with more than 500 million citizens, not think at all about the issue of their own cereal reserves? How can such a big entity introduce principles and norms which will block any type of trade exchange between the EU and third countries in terms of food, if you're going to maintain the same norms towards the third countries? Now, that question was asked by an American, but those questions are often asked by European farmers. Austrian farmers, Polish farmers quite often think today why that important objective is running away. That important objective that was 15, 20 years ago. Farmers worked on their farms in order to produce food. Today, the main revenue for many farmers is the direct payment. And the last element in the whole debate that I'm going to mention is the way the payments are going to be equalized. I'm quite happy that the British, stimulated by the Polish conservatives to a certain extent, are fighting for equalizing of the level of direct payments. During the presidency, I was trying to represent the interests of the whole Europe, so I did not mention that so loudly. But today, when we are wrapping up the presidency, I'd like to ask, is it in the interest of the whole of Europe to have a direct payment system that distorts competition? Is it worth, as part of the reform, to continue increasing the burden placed on the agricultural workers, on farmers, in order for them to get direct payments? Perhaps they should be made optional. Some of the tasks should only be there if they want to fulfill them. A simple example, 7% of compulsory exclusion of organic ground. Also, in order to cultivate high protein plants, should be compulsory. 50% of those should be, will probably be doing that because if it's an obligation, and they will probably be trying to convince the administration that they did it, although they did not quite did it. Shouldn't it be better to address the same amount of funds to those who are interested, so that they can cultivate high protein plants and they can cultivate 1/5 of a high protein crop in their farms? Then the result will be the same. 7% of the soil will be used in order to pursue organic farming, but this will be done by those who volunteer and not those who have to.